Welcome to this special edition podcast where we'll delve into the future of training operations in the vibrant DACH market. I'm joined by learning industry expert Sven Elbert, Senior Analyst at Fossway Group, Europe's #1 HR industry analyst, and Stefan Pinault, CEO at Training Orchestra, leading global provider of training management software. So in this episode, we're going to explore the ever-evolving landscape of in-presence training, otherwise known as instructor-led training or ILT, and its key role in the region's learning ecosystem and the technologies that streamline the often complex operations and processes that go along with it, including strategic approaches that are reshaping the future. So let's dive in. Hi, Sven. Hi, Stefan. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for the introduction. I'm very excited to have this conversation with Sven today.
Yeah, very excited too. Hi, Jen. Hi, Stefan. Good to meet you.
So Sven, we had an interesting conversation earlier about the history of training operations in the DACH market, and I'd love to delve into that a little bit more. So please tell us, what is training operations and what's the role of learning technology in the process?
Yeah, training operations. So we see the word operations being added to all sorts of things, HR operations, people operations, that makes its way into, organizational structures, names of departments and that kind of thing. In Germany, we have this, and I kind of wanted to bring this, we have this very long word, Veranstaltungsmanagement, which is kind of an interesting, maybe 25-year-old kind of creation, which talks about event management. And back in the days, it was really, organizing these in-presence kind of events. Academies were, springing up at that time. And even 5 years ago, when it was still very much in presence and less virtual, I think this is now evolving, this term, and maybe not as present, and maybe this new term training operations is coming to the forefront, where it's basically still covering, I guess, a lot of these operational aspects of organizing training, managing enrollment, having a good experience for the learners during the process, making sure that everything works smoothly, managing all the logistics around it. But also looking at what are maybe some of the needs on a higher level that we need to cater for. What resources do we need? The budgets, the costs, the financial side of things is becoming increasingly important. I mean, we are in a recession now, so that is certainly something where more organizations are focusing on. And that is part of this new idea of training operations, analytics, looking at learning outcomes, not just the happy sheets, but really what impact does it have on the business? What new skills are getting created for the employees working for the company and those kind of things, and this continuous improvement around it. So I think that these are really important aspects of the concept. The Germans like to use English terms, right? So having an English term means that you have a little bit of fuzziness, a bit of cloudiness around it, and that's why I think we over here like to use these kind of terms for something new and innovative, right?
Okay, I will try then to also answer to the same question, maybe explaining, what's the role of training orchestra when it's time to manage the training operation, and, what are the needs on the market and the role of the different learning technologies. So we at Training Orchestra, we provide a system designed to manage training operations. So it's all about scheduling the classes, managing the availability of the trainers, tracking the cost, choosing the best available trainer, managing also the complexity of an extended enterprise. We come back on that, or managing training regulations. So it's pretty complex to manage a training operation, and that's really the focus of Training Orchestra. So we are one of the specialists who are positioned as a strategic leader on the Fossway 9 grid. It's 3 years in a row that we are positioned as a strategic leader. And what is extremely interesting is that you have only 3 actors in the position as a strategic leader. 2 specialists and 1 suite, which is very interesting because it explains so clearly the positioning of Training Orchestra. So the suite is positioned as a strategic leader, is a learning management system, is an LMS. And usually the two main limitations. So the LMS are very important. They help really transform the learning, moving progressively from 100% of instructor-led training to also embedded e-learning courses, and it has been a big change. But some limitations where the LMS maybe light, maybe on the user-learner experience. I should not say user experience, but learner experience. That's why you have LXP, and it's a specialist, And the second limitation is all about managing in-person training, in-presence training, instructor-led training or virtual instructor-led training, when it's time to schedule the classes, manage the resource, track the cost, and more. All that is happening in Excel spreadsheet and Outlook. So we complement those two specialists, complement, the LMS. On the front end, you'll find the LXP or the one in charge of the learner experience complementing the LMS. And on the back end, and that's where we are at Training Orchestra, we provide a training management system designed to really manage instructor-led training and virtual instructor-led training. So we complement each other and do not overlap, Jennifer and Sven.
Yeah, I guess if I maybe can add to that. So I guess depending on the actual solutions a company is using, there are, quite a few examples of companies where they use multiple pieces of technology, maybe a learning management system that they have acquired some years ago, and then kind of overlaid it with some specialist players. So it can work as an LXP or as a training management system. But I guess that really depends on the actual systems that the company has in place and how the organization is configuring them. It will also depend on how you understand these labels. There's a lot of fuzziness, I guess, around the label LXP. We found that there was a big confusion in the market for a long time around that term in particular. It was, maybe a bit overused, used in different ways from different kinds of providers. So therefore, at Fosway, we have really kind of tried to find some other terms that make a bit more sense in terms of the suite covering like all these different needs, learning needs that a company has. So from A to Z, from start to finish, across all target groups. And that is one category of solutions. And the other category of solution is specialists that then focus on one particular thing and do that really, really well. So I guess that is the way in which we think about these things. On, I guess, the different segments in the market, like you said, Stefan, Training Orchestra is classified on the 9 Grid as a specialist. So in the mid-market, obviously, organizations tend to go for solutions, maybe just one system, have it all in one that kind of covers all their needs. They don't have maybe as sophisticated needs that some of these very big, large corporations might have, or they maybe don't have a big training academy. So there's obviously different types of organizations. And so this idea of suites and specialists allows us to kind of look at when we talk to clients about their ecosystem, we can use these terms to help them find the right solutions. And in fact, in very large organizations, you actually find an entire ecosystem of learning solutions. Some organizations have 3, have 10, have even 20 or 25 systems globally, which all of in itself is kind of a nightmare. So they're trying to reduce that to a single system. And that is obviously desirable, but sometimes also not realistic because there's reasons why you might have actually a couple. So reducing to 2, maybe 3 is already helping those very large organizations to save some significant cost and consolidate the space. So I think that is maybe something I can add to that.
Yes, I think it's very, very smart from Fosway to have done, and it makes me think also about the doctor. So sometimes you need to see your doctor that you will see regularly, and that can serve all your needs. And sometimes you're in need with a specialist. So, I like this, the way, it's very clear. It's simple and it clarifies a lot the market because we see a lot of marketing messages that sometimes make it a little bit complex on the market. So we're seeing very frequently this use case, and as Sven said, depending on the level of sophistication, of complexity, we see frequently this situation where we see one of the best LMS, and on the top of that, another specialist for the learner experience. Some name themselves learning experience or something like that. We at Training Orchestra, we're the back end, the training management system. So that's three components that may be important for some clients with enough sophistication. And usually the client, when they buy an LMS, a learning management system, they also think that one size fits all and that they will find everything that they need end to end. That's true. And at the same time, there is a need for if there is enough sophistication, there is a need for a specialist. So that's what we see, Sven and Jennifer.
Right. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Sven. I want to expand on this just a little bit more, and in particular about how all of us, the training operations and technology, how it relates to training for the extended enterprise. So training that extends beyond internal employees to an external audience of, say, your customers, partners, distributors, or even event members. Sven?
Yeah, I guess so. Extended enterprise is a case that is around for quite a long time already, that scenario, to extend it beyond your internal employees. It does require specific management. Some organizations have therefore built a separate kind of extended enterprise learning technology ecosystem altogether for their organization. Some others manage it maybe all in one, but many also have for internal staff something else. So I guess the underlying issue or problem, some of the learning systems have particularly been designed for this internal learning use cases with that in mind, and they are not maybe necessarily designed to work for these external audiences. Some, yeah. In other cases, the issue is maybe the corporation has introduced a learning management system a while back, and they have configured the learning system in a certain way so that it is really well tailored for the internal staff. But now they kind of need to reconfigure it all to work also for that external enterprise scenario. And that can be quite problematic in some cases. So then sometimes it's easier to separate the things, although it's not impossible. So advice, I guess, from our side is usually to look at this from the very beginning, if you can. If you have obviously an existing landscape, you have to live with what you have and evolve that from going forward. So I guess that is really important. And I mean, it is becoming more important, right? So training clients, training partners, you need to sell the training, they need to sell your product. So it has an impact on your revenue. So that obviously is becoming more important also during these economically more challenging times. And I guess ideally, as I said, maybe think about this in advance if you can, or kind of think about this as two kind of ecosystems that can work independently if you have already something in place potentially. Stefan, maybe something from your side to add to that?
So I think that I'm fully aligned with what you just said, Sven. What is interesting is that we see a lot in the DACH market of extended enterprise, so client education, partner education. By the way, I really like the way Fosway has defined the extended enterprise, which would be any learner outside of payroll. It's crystal clear. So partner education, client education, training business, temporary workers, so our extended enterprise, and everybody's talking about upskilling, reskilling, but today what is important for having a successful company is skilling the entire ecosystem. For a large aircraft company, when they sell a plane, they need to properly train their clients because their clients are using their product every day. So it's not just the skilling of the employees, it's skilling the entire ecosystem. So this question of extended enterprise is really important. Obviously, by a functional standpoint, it requires requires different capabilities, and some capabilities like selling training are very important, because you need then to suddenly manage price lists, multiple price lists in different currency. Do you sell at the same price in Germany? Yes, it's in euro, or in Portugal, it's also in euro. So price list strategy, managing an ordering process. What are the products that you sell? Are you selling seats in public classes, or are you selling private classes? Invoicing, profitability, for-profit center, most of the time, it's also a good way to turn a cost center in a for-profit center to be close of the extended enterprise. How do you collaborate with clients, versus the way you collaborate with a learner or internal learner? So that's by a functional standpoint. Obviously, the need is completely different, and also you need to connect to completely different system. When you serve employee only, and you're doing employee education, you need to connect with your HRIS, full stop. Maybe there are some other, but when it's client training, you need to connect to a CRM, you need to connect to a website, you need to connect to an accounting system, to an invoice system, finance system. So it's really different. The capabilities are completely different, and by a technology standpoint, we don't necessarily see the same vendor on both sides. So that's very interesting. But, DACH is a very specific market, I think, Jennifer and Sven.